What is up, everyone? Matt Parrino from NYup, Syracuse.com here at the Ad Pro Sports Training Center. Got a little bit of sunburn today. Got the farmer's tan going on. And excuse my eyes, some allergies going on today. A lot of white little floaty things all over the place out of practice. And it was an interesting practice, one that I think after we're in our fourth week here now, and I think the competition level is starting to rise a lot on both sides of the ball. And Jordan Poyer spoke today about some trash talk that he was throwing the way of Josh Allen, and you could tell that there's a heightened sense of competition. I think that it's good for Josh Allen. I was doing some radio today, and I talked about that competition level for not only Josh Allen, but everybody on this offense. They're going against one of the elite defenses in this league on a daily basis in practice, and in Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, two of the elite safeties, and definitely one of the top 2 or 3 safety combos in the league. I think that it's great for all parties involved. And today out at practice, Jordan Poyer made a couple plays on Josh Allen. One where he intercepted Allen. Allen rolled out to his left and had Dawson knocked short, but wanted to try to fit it in to Victor Bolden, maybe 15 yards down the field. And Jordan Poyer just jumped the route, intercepted the ball, got up, was very animated, talking quite a bit. And then at the goal line, Poyer intercepted Josh Allen, or broke up a pass from Josh Allen. It was going for Dawson Knox, and he got right up and said, he screamed, "Come on, Josh, what are you doing?" And there was a level of banter back and forth between them. And I asked Josh Allen after practice, what do you think of that? What do you think of that, dynamic out on the practice field? And he said he loves it. He loves the competitive spirit. He loves the drive. And Poyer, who I also spoke with, said kind of the same thing. He echoed those sentiments, and he said, listen, Josh and I are close friends. Before practice today, he went up to John Brown and said, hey, let's go out there and let's compete as hard as we can, because that's how we're going to all get better. And, once you get out there and you start flying around and making plays, I mean, it's not a stretch to think that these guys are going to get animated and start talking quite a bit. If you're just joining me now, about 3 minutes in, Matt Parrino, NYup, Syracuse.com, Buffalo Bills beat reporter. We just finished day 2 of practice, open practice here. Before tomorrow, we'll wrap up the 3rd day of minicamp, and then it's going to be about 6 weeks before training camp. And a lot's happening right now with this team. A lot of new parts, a lot of new players, new faces trying to get up to speed on the offensive side of the ball. Tons of free agents, new draft picks. The top, 4 picks, 3 of them were offensive players, and Devin Singletary, Cody Ford, and tight end Dawson Knox. And I think that there's a lot of implementation going on right now in terms of installing the offense. The defense seems like it's, as expected, leaps and bounds ahead of where the offense is. But you got guys like Poyer and Hyde, Tre'Davious White, Jerry Hughes, Shaq Lawson, that are going into their 3rd season under Sean McDermott in this scheme. And I think that, you see that familiarity, you see that confidence level out on the practice field. And there's a lot of things to be excited about on that side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, I think there's also a lot of things to be excited about. The process of bringing everybody along has been hindered a little bit by the injury bug. Today, Zay Jones and Robert Foster continue to be sidelined. Cole Beasley's back, with in practice, taking part in some of the individual drills, but he's still being held out of team drills. And then you look at the offensive line. Projected starter at guard Quentin Spain is hurt, had a thumb injury. He's still out. John Feliciano, who was starting for Mitch Morse, he's also still out. So there's a lot of moving parts. Ty and Seke, non-contact, limited participation in practice. So, three offensive linemen, new offensive linemen that are trying to get up to speed on things are not available right now. So, Mitch Morse talked about it after practice yesterday, that this is something that they're going to deal with in the season. Players are going to not be available, so it's about guys stepping up, and you're seeing some interesting developments in terms of on the offensive line. DeAndre Wesley, who was here last year predominantly as a tackle, he's getting a lot of time as at left guard, and obviously with John Feliciano out, Spain out, he's getting some time. Today's first team offensive line, I know there's a lot of people like tracking that. Deion Dawkins at left tackle, Spencer Long at left guard, Mitch Morse at center, Wyatt Teller at right guard, and then rookie Cody Ford at right tackle. And the injury to Ty Nsekhe is giving a lot of repetitions to Cody Ford, and that's a guy that, the Bills have big plans for him, and he's known for his ability in the run game as a run blocker, and that's an area on offense that this Bills team wants to be better at in 2019. Also in the wide receiver group, a lot more action for guys like Andre Roberts, who was brought in as a potential special teams contributor. He's getting a lot of run with the first team on the outside. He made a really nice catch today down the left sideline. It was play action pass from Josh Allen, and probably the offensive highlight of the day. And he put it in exactly perfect position for Roberts to make a play on the ball. He made the catch. It was a pretty big hype moment for the offense. Also getting some first team run is Duke Williams, the standout Canadian Football League wide receiver who's trying to make this team. I mean, he made he caught believe the only other passing touchdown of the day from Matt Barkley. It was a 10-yard out pattern, and Tre'Davious White was actually covering him. And I asked him after practice because LaShawn McCoy was quick to jump on Trey White, let him know that Duke Williams just beat him on that touchdown. And I asked Duke, "Did you talk some stuff to Tre'Davious White after that play?" And he said, "No, I was flexing quite a bit yesterday when he made another play on Dean Marlowe in practice. So as a rookie, he doesn't want to come on too strong." But Duke Williams is a guy that I know fans are very excited about, and the potential of what he can possibly do in this wide receiver battle. I think you should still temper those expectations a little bit. He's having some success here, but we haven't even gotten to training camp yet. And this is a big jump. It's a big jump from the CFL to the NFL. This is a guy that highly touted coming out of Auburn. Obviously, some well-documented troubles that kind of curtailed his NFL career for a little while, and now he went and figured things out in the CFL, and now he's trying to make an NFL roster, and I've been impressed with his ability and focus. Another new face in the Bills lineup on the other side of the ball, Kevin Johnson, continues to get rave reviews. We spoke to Jordan Poyer, like I said, after practice today, and he said that it's just been unbelievable to watch Kevin Johnson work. He said his speed, athleticism, the way that he gets in and out of his breaks, the quickness, his ability to make plays and get a read on passes. That's going to be a real nice addition to the secondary if he could stay healthy. The Bills want to turn the ball over more this year. Sean McDermott was very forthcoming with that desire at his press conference this week. And Kevin Johnson's a guy that has a nose for the football. Levi Wallace has been starting on the first team offense. Kevin Johnson and E.J. Gaines. By the way, E.J. Gaines, I thought, had his best day of practice today. He's back after a season with the Cleveland Browns, and I thought he looked really, really good today. Ed Oliver, pretty quiet for the most part. He jumped off sides on one play, and the defense had to run down and back from the goal line, so I'm sure that some of those defensive guys weren't thrilled with that, but he seems to be settling in quite well. And I think I got one question on Twitter when I put it out there and asked, what are we looking at in terms of the depth chart right now? And I'll stick on the offensive side of the ball for this, because I think the defense, you pretty much have a solid understanding of who your starting players are going to be across the defensive line, the linebackers, and the cornerbacks. But offensively, at running back, I think LaShawn McCoy is obviously your number one back. Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane have been very forthcoming about that. They want to give him a chance with this rebuilt offensive line to get things going. But I think Devin Singletary right now is number 2 on that depth chart, ahead of Frank Gore at 3, TJ Yeldon at 4. TJ Yeldon getting a lot of work with the second and third team, a guy that backed up Leonard Fournette the last couple of years in Jacksonville, and brings a dual threat skill set to the table. He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's somebody that even if he spends most of the summer, on the second and third team, he's a guy that with a proven track record, a steady presence, and I think that he could still be, a threat to make this team. But I think that there are big plans for Devin Singletary. You got to love everything that you're seeing out of him in practice right now. His vision, his burst through the line, finding holes, and Frank Gore has got a lot of mileage, on the vehicle. And I think that, the plan for him is to bring a leadership element to that room and, use him in short bursts. And I think that you're going to see, kind of a duo approach to the running back position with McCoy and Singletary this year. And Yeldon's there in case there's injury or if he does pop in training camp in the preseason. And at wide receiver, Jones and Foster have been out. I think Jones and John Brown are probably your starters with Robert Foster in the mix there. I think he'll, they'll move them around a lot. Today at practice, they were working a lot of 4 wide receiver sets. So I think that that's going to be a pretty big part of their offense. So you're going to see Foster, Brown, and Zay Jones in the field together, quite a bit this season. And then after that, obviously you have Cole Beasley in the slot. I think you're probably going to slot in Andre Roberts at 5. Andre Roberts has looked really good, as a receiver. I know that, he was brought in because of his special teams capabilities, and you saw what he did to the Bills last year in terms of the punt and kick return game. And they know they have that in him, but he said, he understands his role. I spoke to him yesterday after practice, but he's confident in his abilities to make plays. Josh Allen said today after practice that, he's been impressed with his quickness and, being at the place that he needs him to be when he's running his routes. And, that's a pretty big thing. We talked about that last year in training camp, Ray McLeod and Josh Allen developing a bit of a chemistry. You're starting to see a little bit of that with Andre Roberts as well. And I don't think anybody really had him penciled in as a guy that was going to compete for snaps, as a receiver. I think more people envision him in the special teams, but he's had a good minicamp, OTAs, and with all these injuries, he's been taking advantage of that opportunity. And then after that, I put Duke Williams in the mix right after that. I think that, he hasn't gotten quite as much work with the first team, but he has been sprinkled in. He's been making plays. I mean, that touchdown was really it was an impressive play today. I mean, just going against the number 1 cornerback in a practice setting like that, that pressure is pretty high, and he accepted that challenge. Every time I've seen him around or gotten the chance to speak with him, he seemed very relaxed, very focused, like he's been preparing for this moment. And I think that he's going to be in the mix all summer. After that, I think Isaiah McKenzie and Ray McLeod both having a great OTAs minicamp period. I think Isaiah McKenzie proved last year that he's reliable. He's got speed. He's dangerous if he gets the ball in space, and he's continuing to showcase that. So I think that, Ray McLeod and Isaiah McKenzie could be battling for, a spot on this roster, depending on how many wide receivers the Bills take into the regular season once they cut down to that 53 man roster. And then after that, you have some other, flyers on or Cam Phillips, David Sills. I know a lot of fans like David Sills, and he looked good today. I mean, Tyree Jackson, University of Buffalo product, had a nice throw, just a 5-yard little out pass, but, make the easy plays, and he made it to David Sills, who had a nice catch there. He's in the mix as well. Victor Bolden is getting a lot of run as well. Keep an eye on him. He's a special teams guy, but he was out in California with a bunch of these other receivers working with Josh Allen, and it seems like that's paid off quite a bit because he's looked pretty good, from a flying under the radar perspective throughout this whole process. In terms of the offensive line, I think at this point you're pretty much looking at Deion Dawkins at the left side, Mitch Morse at center. Cody Ford is going to have a really good chance to win that starting right tackle job. But I think as we move towards training camp, you're going to see Ty Nsekhe rotated in with Cody Ford to just push him a little bit. You're seeing that with Ed Oliver on the other side of the ball. Jordan Phillips is getting all the first team reps, and Ed Oliver is taking all the second team reps. And I think that's something that's Sean McDermott's trying to motivate him. He's talked about this over and over again. He wants everything to be earned, and that's something that is happening on both sides of the ball. At the guard spots, I think if healthy, you're looking at Spencer Long on the left side, Quentin Spain on the right side. But Wyatt Teller is going to be in that mix all summer long. John Feliciano is also going to be in that mix. I know they used him at center with Mitch Morse out, but he's naturally a guard, so I think that he'll be in that competition. Obviously has the connection to new offensive line coach Bobby Johnson. So that'd be interesting to watch this whole dynamic play out. And, a big star, from minicamp this last 2 days, he was playing well in OTAs, but he's really, really jumped off the field at you is Saran Neal. What's happening with him is obviously a safety drafted in the 5th round last year. Sean McDermott's been using him exclusively on that second team as the slot corner behind Taron Johnson, part of the Sean McDermott's big nickel package. And I think that, Saran Neal is proving to be very competent in that role. All of his teammates are raving about the fact that it's just starting to click a little bit for him, a guy that really struggled with the jump from college to the pros last year, being in meeting rooms and maybe not quite, getting everything right off the bat. Now it's all starting to really come into focus for Saran Neal, and his speed off the end when they send him in on a blitz. I think he had 2 sacks unofficially today. And again, they're not in pads, so it's hard to really track those numbers. But, he is just blowing by offensive linemen and tight ends on the edge. And that's going to be something that, Taron Johnson was such a nice find last year for the Bills because of the way that he impacted, quarterbacks with rushing the passer. And I think that they're going to look for, some depth there because let's be honest, Taron Johnson struggled to stay healthy last year with the shoulder injury. He was dealing with that throughout the season. So you take a guy like Saran Neal drafted in the 5th round, 1 round after Taron Johnson, and they could be quite the dynamic duo in terms of, that third corner out there. And Kevin Johnson also has some position flex as well. He can be moved inside. We'll be interested to track that during training camp. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. We'll be doing one of these chats, a bunch of these chats, once training camp gets going, but I'll try to do a couple from now until the start of training camp. If you ever have any questions, you can DM me or tag me on Twitter. I'm at Matt Parrino. I also have a Facebook page for all your Buffalo Bills content. As always, keep it locked on NYupSyracuse.com. We'll be back tomorrow, and I think I'll go live one more time to wrap a bow on this 4-week OTAs minicamp period. Thanks so much for watching.